بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم افتح علينا فتوح لا يغفل ووفقنا توفيق الصالحين وانفعنا اللهم بالقرآن والذكر الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يقربنا منك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت يا حي يا قيوم تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا سهلا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وبعد. We are page 31 from أيها الولد of the great Imam al-Ghazali radiallahu ta'ala an, and we're covering the 8 pieces of advice that Hatim al-Assam benefited from whilst he was in the company of Shaykh al-Balkhi for 30 years. 2 of them have been mentioned, today is the 3rd one. So he's mentioning these 8 pieces of advice that lead him to worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and being free from the tricks of the dunya or shaitan. 2 have been covered. The 3rd one is الفائدة الثالثة أني رأيت كل واحد من الناس يسعى في جمع حطام الدنيا ثم يمسكه قابضا يده عليه فتأملت في قوله تعالى ما عندكم ينفد وما عند الله باق فبذلت محصولي من الدنيا لوجه الله تعالى ففرقته بين المساكين ليكون ذخرا لي عند الله تعالى. He says that the 3rd useful lesson is I saw every individual in mankind exerting himself in accumulating the ephemeral things of the world, then clutching at them, laying hold on them, and I meditated on his saying, the exalted, what is in your possession dwindles, and what is in God's possession is eternal. So I sacrificed the gains I got from the world to Allah the Exalted, and I distributed them among the poor so that they might become a treasure for me with Allah the Exalted. This is a beautiful lesson to learn, because if this settles in the heart, you lose the fear of poverty and you increase in tawakkul, and you actually feel and taste true happiness whilst on earth. Because most of the time why people are upset or in depression or sad is because of something of the dunya. The dunya has affected them. Either it's lack of wealth, lack of job, not a promotion, something with regards to your wealth. You don't have enough. But if you look at what Hatim al-Assam is speaking about here, that he looked at people and everybody's trying to attain the beauties of this world that are perishing. And he then looked and pondered over the words of Allah Ta'ala, that what is in your hands will perish, and what is with Allah is eternal, baqi. It's not going to perish. So I put my trust in Allah Ta'ala, and for the pleasure of Allah I distributed my wealth amongst the poor. Now, the aim, the lesson to learn is what he said in the beginning, that you come to realize what is with Allah, what Allah has promised is eternal. Strive for that. What is with us, or what we aim in the dunya, is perishing. What he done as a consequence was his level of taqwa, that he gave all his wealth away. That's not what is expected from you and I. If you're able to do so and have to tawakkul upon Allah, then do so. But please do speak to your wives before doing that. She might kick you out the house. But really, having tawakkul doesn't mean that you have to give everything away and only then you're truly in tawakkul. What this wali of Allah done is his maqam, that was with him and Allah, that he was able to do. But the aim is to attain this tawakkul with Allah, in that you aim in attaining what Allah has promised and not be concerned about things that are perishing. As Ibn Ata'illah says, radiallahu ta'ala an, a very famous aphorism of his, that what has he found, O Allah, who lost you, and what has he lost, O Allah, who found you? You find Allah, you got everything, you lose nothing. You lose Allah, you've got nothing, no matter how much the dunya you may have. Being content at heart with what Allah has is a ni'mah from Allah. And that's not about your wealth. A wealthy man may have that ni'mah. A wealthy man may have that ni'mah, that he is content with God. And a poor man may have that ni'mah, that he is content with God. It's not about how much wealth you have that makes you content with Allah Ta'ala. It's about you realizing what you have from God. If you come to realize that the wealth of the dunya is minute, you're not going to worry about it too much. As the Sufis say, you're not a true Sufi until gold and dust are equal in front of you. That the way if I ask you to give me some soil from your garden, you say, yeah bro, take it. You pick it up and give it to me. But if I say, give me some gold from your wealth, it becomes difficult. Not to say that you must give and that's a sign that you're a Sufi. Of course not, that you have to give. But that in your heart, you don't value one over the other. Because what you value is what comes from Allah Ta'ala. What you value is what Allah has given you. This doesn't mean be stupid. This doesn't mean the Sufis are not saying, go give your gold away, go give your money away, and now you're a Sufi. No, not at all. It's rather taking the love of the dunya out of the heart. And having more trust in Allah than in anything of the dunya. Trust in what He has promised, in benefits that shall remain forever. If I was to say to you that there is a camera in this room, you must sit here for 20 seconds alone and be careful of how you behave. And if you behave well for these 10-20 seconds, the remaining life of yours, 70 years, you can do whatever you like. That person will be foolish who wastes then 20 seconds in trying to disobey the commands. Because it's only restraining yourself for a few seconds. What you get at the end is far greater. That example is nothing compared to what Allah has given to you, because the life in the hereafter and the rewards of the hereafter are eternal. So this world is not even like the blink of an eye compared to that time, because this perishes. And this world, this dunya will perish, and likewise its pleasures will perish in difference to that life and what Allah has prepared therein, which no eye has ever seen. But if you just speak about some of the bounties of Jannah as an encouragement for you and I, that what you will have, could you imagine never feeling the need to go and relieve yourself? This is a ni'mah from Allah. Could you imagine that whatever your heart desires from food and drink, it is there at that very instant? Could you imagine you sitting on a throne, a couch, with shade, as Allah mentions in the Quran, over your garden, which is the size of this world? As we know from the very last person, he'll have 7 times of the world. That's your garden. And you desire a fruits and colors that you can't imagine. And as soon as you desire, the fruit grows in size and comes right in front of you for you to take a bite from. And every time you take a bite, it gives you a taste that you've never tasted before. And the second taste is far better than the first. You could continue eating apples and you won't get bored. Imagine the mercy of Allah. Could you imagine you walk in your garden, the size of your garden you could imagine, and there is a spring that's running with you. And this spring has water that's coming up and it's still waiting for you to partake of it. Sweet water, sweet wine, or rather pure wine, sweet water, milk, and drinks that you can't imagine. And you'll never be full. You can always eat and eat and eat and drink and drink and drink. As Ibn al-Arabi says, radiallahu ta'ala an, that you'll be occupied in the akhirah, in Jannah, with what you were occupied with in the dunya. You loved a certain thing, that's what you get there. You love sitting with ulama, You sit with ulama in Jannah. You love talking about Allah and Rasul. That's what you will be with in Jannah. You enjoyed something of the dunya. Alhamdulillah, you enjoyed that in the akhirah. And it's not just about you alone. There'll be marketplaces where you could come and visit your brothers. You could come out and visit people. Right? Shops. There will be these kind of roads that you'll be going through. But there's not that you need to purchase anything, because everything is at your disposal. Is there a millionaire, a billionaire in the world who's like that? Of course not. Right? It's one of the famous examples of one of our leaders, Khulafa, I can't remember the name, Harun Rashid, I believe. Harun Rashid. It is said, Wallahu A'lam, if it's him I'm speaking about, that his brother was Sayyidina Bahlul. Sayyidina Bahlul is in Syria. He was a great wali of Allah, a great Sufi of Allah. He left the dunya. They say they were brothers. And Harun Rashid, who was the king, or the Khalifa, didn't like the fact that his brother would live in a very simple attire. So he came to him and he said, I'm the Khalifa, you're my brother, I'll give you what you want. And Sayyidina Bahlul said, okay, just one thing I ask you. He said, go on. He said, in your kingdom, when I go to sleep every night, the bees and flies come to disturb me. Can you tell them not to come to disturb me, please? You couldn't do nothing. He said, leave me then. Leave me with Allah. What you get from that pleasures, if you're talking about riches, then what we have at our disposal in Jannah is far better than what you could ever earn in the dunya. All we need to do is remain vigilant, maintain and uphold the Sharia until the day we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not look towards the riches of the world. And if you do look towards them, know that they're perishing. Know that they're coming to an end. What's with Allah and promised by Allah is the best. Don't you read this every day in the word? وَمَا تُقَدِّمُوا لِأَنفُسِكُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ تَجِدُوهُ. Whatever you present to Allah from goodness, you will find it عند Allah. With Allah, خَيْرًا وَأَعْظَمَ أَجْرًا. Better and have a greater reward. Have tawakkul and belief in Allah that what you're sending forth will bring forth more pleasures of the hereafter. He said, Hatim al-Assam, I realized everything in the dunya is perishing, but Allah has promised is for eternity. I left the dunya, its riches, distributed them amongst the poor, so that Allah Ta'ala becomes pleased with me. The fourth useful lesson. أني رأيت بعض الخلق ظن شرفه وعزه في كثرة الأقوام والعشائر فاغتر بهم وزعم آخرون أنه في ثروة الأموال وكثرة الأولاد فافتخروا بها وحسب بعضهم الشرف والعزة في غصب أموال الناس وظلمهم وسفك دمائهم وأعتقدت طائفة أنه في إتلاف المال وإسرافه وتبذيره. وتأملت في قوله تعالى إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم فاخترت التقوى واعتقدت أن القرآن حق صادق وظنهم وحسبانهم كلها باطل زائل. This is the fourth useful lesson that he learned in his company with his teacher Shaykh Balqi radiallahu ta'ala anhuma over 30 years. He said, I saw that some of mankind believed their nobility and standing to be in size of their nations and tribes, so they were conceited, deceived because of them. Others had the opinion that it lay in the wealth of their possessions and the numerousness of sons, so they were proud of them. Some reckoned nobility and standing lay in forcibly acquiring the property of men, in tyrannizing them and spilling their blood. A group held that it consisted in wasting money, spending it lavishly and squandering it. I meditated on his word. The noblest of you in the view of Allah is the most God-conscious of you. So I chose taqwa, believing the Quran to be accurate and truth, and their opinion and evaluation utterly empty and falsehood. What our wali has mentioned here, this imam has mentioned here, Hatim al-Assam, is no different to what we live in today. People seek nobility, honor, fame, status in different ways. The young lad on the street thinks that he will get that by a funny haircut with the window down and seat far back and one hand on the steering wheel, blowing some music, and that for him it's fame, that's honor. That's what he thinks he's going to get honor in. Others do think it's in tyranny, like Bashar al-Assad. As an example, he believes control, power, izzah is in tyranny. That's why he's killing people. Otherwise, if he believed that honor was with Allah and taqwa, he would leave the seat. But he continues to stay. Other people, our parents, hopefully not ours, but people from Pakistan, what do they find honor in? In building a 4-level mansion in Pakistan, which you and I call Koti. Right? Isn't that the case? And it's funny, really, look at people, right? They've come over here, our parents, they're living here. They're living in a 3-bedroom terraced house in England. Just about getting through. But in Pakistan, they've built a 4-level Koti, empty, just with their name on that placard. That's all it is, occupied by immigrants who are living lavish lifestyles. And not just living in your house, you're paying them to live in your house, to take care of it. Does it make sense? But why do people do this? Is it because they fear that the West will drive them out of here and we need to go back? No, of course it's not. That's not the fear. It's that we have a name. People in their own societies, in their own cultures, everyone seeks status, some fame. As it's reported in the Sufi works, that the last thing from all the evils, the last thing to leave the heart of a wali is hub of jah, is love for station, love of recognition. So they'll get rid of everything, and they'll get rid of this also. It doesn't mean that they won't get rid of this. They do get rid of this, but this was the last hurdle. That they don't want recognition. This is the awliya. That they, for them, the only one who exists and deserves praise is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's how the awliya Allah are. But the most difficult of them, these vices to get rid of, is this one, hubbul jah, is love of station. Everybody has it. And I have it. Everyone has it. Our job is to control it and have it only for the sake of Allah. And if you want station, then get or attain that station that is worthy of being recognized in the court of Allah. And this is what Hatim al-Assam said. I pondered over the words of Allah, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The most noble amongst you is the one who is God-fearing. So I chose this method to attain nobility and status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Ata'ala speaks about this. And he says, the best thing that you could live with is taqwa. And he says, what a life it is. There is no life better than the life of taqwa. But people who have not tasted it don't know. People who have not tasted it don't know. If you are able to taste the life of taqwa, you will never want to return back to anything other than that. Because Allah Ta'ala fills your heart with peace and serenity. As we know in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and we know in the Quran that Allah descends sakina upon His people. And the hadith that when a person leaves a sin, Allah places sakina in his heart that will suffice him. These are the best of people. They're the most peaceful people. You know, when you go to them, sit with them, that's the first thing that you'll feel is how content these people are, people of taqwa. And it's not about knowledge. It's not about how learned they are, how quick they are with their tongues, how many hadith that they could narrate on their tongue to you, how many masail of fiqh they have, or the outer clothing they wear, the size of their turban, or the length of their beard. It's not about that. Because states, you can't hide, you can't fake. You go to a person who's a true Sufi, a man of Allah, he may not have language, he may not have a turban, but when you sit in his presence, his hal will rub off on you. If you don't have a true state of taqwa, no matter how much you try with words, that person will not be affected by you. But if you're a true man of Allah, a man of dhikr of Allah, you'll feel that people will want to sit in your company because you've adopted this way of life. Each one of us have the opportunity, especially if you are a murid of a shaykh. Any salih shaykh, he plants the seed into your heart, it's for you, he sprouts it, your land, the land in which the seed is planted is your heart. The seed is there, he will sprout. He will give it rain, He will give it light. It's now upon you to take care and make sure that that seed comes out. Sometimes like a tree, which is huge, covering east to west. Sometimes like a small crop. But there is benefit for everyone. Each one of us individually can develop his maqam with Allah Ta'ala. We have the tools. We have the tools. It's upon how much effort we put in. And if this effort is not put in, as Ibn Ata'illah says, whoever has no wird, la warida lah, nothing comes from Allah to him. Man la warida la, la warida la. Who has no wird, nothing comes from Allah. Of course, whenever anything comes from Allah, it is out of His bounty. The wird is merely a means. But you must try. You must try. And this is the fourth advice that Hatim al-Assam gives here. What page are we on again? 31. That people aim for status in the dunya by different means, and our way to attain recognition with Allah Ta'ala is taqwa. Maintain a life of taqwa. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq, that we truly become muttaqeen, and He places sakina over our hearts, and we are entered with izzah, with honor on Yawm al-Qiyamah into Jannatul Firdaus al-A'la in the company of His most pious servants. وَمَا تَوْفِيقِ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. If we can make a Fatiha for all the awliya Allah from the time of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم خاصة in this ummah up to our age until the Mahdi and thereafter, who have been guiding His khalq to Allah Ta'ala. Allah reward them the best of jaza on our behalf.